The first time I saw Lieutenant Maya Reeves, she was eating something called a peanut butter sandwich while simultaneously dismantling our entire strategic defense grid. I am Commander Vrex of the Caltheran Imperial Fleet, and I've led military campaigns across 17 star systems. I have negotiated treaties with warrior species who communicate through ritualized combat. I have stared down the barrel of plasma cannons without flinching, but nothing, absolutely nothing, in my 4 decades of service prepared me for humans. Sir, the human liaison has arrived. My second-in-command, Officer Quinn, announced through the comm panel. I straightened my uniform and tried to compose myself. The Terran Federation had finally agreed to send an advisor to help integrate human tactical systems into our fleet operations. After 6 months of watching humans accidentally win battles they should have lost, our high command decided we needed to understand their methods or madness. Honestly, the line seemed blurry. The door slid open and she walked in. She was shorter than I expected, maybe reaching my shoulder. Plates, with dark hair pulled back in what I would later learn was called a ponytail. She wore a standard Terran fleet uniform, dark blue with too many pockets. Humans loved pockets. I never understood why they needed so many places to store things when they had perfectly functional belt attachments. Commander Vex, she extended her hand. That peculiar human greeting gesture. I touched my palm to hers, applying what I thought was appropriate pressure. She smiled, which showed her teeth. Among my people, showing teeth is a threat display. Among humans, it apparently meant friendliness. The cultural adjustment period was going to be challenging. Lieutenant Reeves, welcome aboard the Sovereign Dawn, I said formally. I trust your journey from the diplomatic station was comfortable. Oh, it was great. Your pilot, Kess, she's hilarious. We talked about atmospheric racing the whole way. Did you know she's never tried a barrel roll in a gravity well? Maya pulled out a small device from one of her many pockets and tapped it. I sent her some training simulations. She seemed excited. I made a mental note to speak with Kess about accepting unsolicited flight maneuvers from aliens. Last week, a human freighter captain taught 3 of my pilots something called the Crazy Ivan, and we nearly lost 2 fighters when they tried it. During formation drills, your quarters are prepared, I continued. Officer Quinn will show you to them. We have a briefing at 1,400 hours to discuss integration protocols. Actually, Commander, if you don't mind, I'd love to skip straight to the good stuff. She tapped her wrist device and a holographic display materialized. The air between us. I've been reviewing your fleet's defensive architecture, and no offense, but you've got some pretty glaring vulnerabilities. I felt my dorsal ridges stiffen. Our defensive systems have been refined over centuries of warfare. They incorporate the collective tactical wisdom of the Seathorn Empire. Right? Yeah, totally. She nodded, still looking at her display. Super impressive, very symmetrical. Love the symmetry, but see, the thing is, symmetry is predictable, and predictable as well. It's kind of a problem when you're dealing with enemies who have half a brain and a targeting computer. Quinn's face plates flushed purple, which indicated suppressed anger. I shared his sentiment. This human had been on my ship for exactly 4 minutes and was already criticizing systems designed by our finest military engineers. Perhaps you could elaborate on these supposed vulnerabilities. I kept my voice level, professional. Sure thing. She manipulated the hologram. And suddenly, I was looking at our flagship, the Sovereign Dawn, rotating slowly in three-dimensional space. So, you've got your primary shield. Generators here, here, and here. Red dots appeared on the projection, all positioned equidistant from each other, creating this beautiful spherical coverage. Textbook stuff. Yes, I said, not seeing the problem. Now watch what happens when I introduce a coordinated strike from multiple vectors. She tapped the device again and small blue projectiles appeared, moving toward the ship. Strike 1 hits here, drawing power to reinforce that quadrant. Strike 2 hits the opposite side, forcing redistribution. And strike 3. A third projectile slipped through a gap that had appeared in the shield matrix. Welcome to your reactor core. Boom. Quinn and I stared at the hologram. The entire simulation had taken maybe 8 seconds. That's a theoretical scenario, I protested. No enemy has that level of coordination. Commander, last week 3 human teenagers synchronized their attack patterns in a combat sim and took down a Vrexian dreadnought model. They were eating pizza while they did it. If kids can figure it out, your enemies definitely can. I had no idea what pizza was, but I filed it away as apparently something humans consumed while destroying warships. What do you propose? I asked, though part of me dreaded the answer. Maya grinned, teeth flashing again. Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So here's the fun part. We're going to introduce chaos. Chaos. Strategic unpredictability. See, the problem with your setup is that it's too elegant, too refined. Every system has a logical place, predictable response pattern. We're going to mess that up a bit. Over the next hour, Maya outlined a series of modifications that made my head hurt. Asymmetrical shield generation, randomized power distribution protocols, what she called fake vulnerabilities that would lure attackers into kill zones. It was madness. It violated every principle of military engineering I had ever learned. It was also, I reluctantly admitted, brilliant. I will need to present this to my senior staff, I said. Finally, the Darby modifications you're suggesting would require significant overhauls. Totally understand. Military bureaucracy, right? It's universal. She deactivated her wrist device. In the meantime, though, I'd love to run some drills with your tactical teams. Get a feel for how they think, how they respond to threats. That cool with you? What could possibly go wrong? Famous last words. The tactical simulation chamber was located on Deck 7, a massive space equipped with holographic projectors and neural interface stations. My best tactical officer, senior analyst Bryn, was already present with his team of 6 specialists. They were the finest strategic minds in the fleet, graduates of the Imperial War College, veterans of countless campaigns. Maya walked in wearing what she called workout clothes, which consisted of loose fabric pants and a shirt that said Earth, third rock from the sun, with a picture of their home planet. Gentlemen, she said, then paused. Wait. Are you all gentlemen? I should probably ask. Humans are still figuring out the whole multi-esses pronoun thing. Bryn's facial plates clicked in amusement. We use standard designations. I am, he, them, they, whatever is convenient. Perfect. Love the flexibility. Maya clapped her hands together. Okay. So here's the deal. I want to run a standard planetary defense scenario. You'll be defending a colony world from an attacking fleet. I'll be controlling the attackers. Sound good? Bryn nodded confidently. We have run this simulation hundreds of times. Our defensive protocols are highly efficient. Awesome, let's see them in action. The simulation began. The holographic display showed a terrestrial planet with 3 orbiting defense stations and a small fleet of patrol ships. Standard setup, exactly what you would expect for a frontier colony. Maya's attacking force appeared at the edge of the system. She had chosen a reasonable fleet composition, nothing overwhelming, just enough to present a challenge. The engagement began. Bryn's team performed flawlessly. They coordinated their defenses, positioned their ships to cover all approach vectors, maintained perfect formation discipline. The attacking fleet took heavy losses as it advanced. Textbook defensive operation. Then Maya did something strange. She ordered her remaining ships to retreat. Withdrawing already, Lieutenant Bryn allowed himself a satisfied rumble. Humans are known for their tenacity. I expected more resistance. Oh, we're not done, Maya said cheerfully. Just regrouping. Her ships pulled back beyond the system's edge, out of sensor range. Bryn's team maintained their positions, ready for the next assault. Standard procedure dictated they hold formation and await further enemy action. They waited and waited. 5 minutes passed in simulation time. What is she doing? Quinn whispered to me. I have no idea. 10 minutes. Bryn's team began to relax, assuming the exercise was over. Some began reviewing their performance data, discussing optimal firing solutions. 15 minutes, then every alarm in the simulation screamed at once. Maya's ships had split into 3 groups, approached from completely different vectors using minimal power signatures, and dropped out of faster than light travel inside the defensive perimeter. Not outside where you would expect. Inside. They had somehow bypassed the entire early warning network, but that was impossible. The physics did not allow for such precise emergence points. Gravitational interference from the planet alone should have scattered them across millions of kilometers of space. Bryn's team scrambled to respond, but it was already too late. Maya's ships were among the defensive stations, targeting their generators at point-blank range. The colony world's shields never even activated. Total engagement time, including the waiting period, 42 seconds. The hologram faded. Bryn and his team sat in stunned silence. How? Bryn finally asked. Those emergence coordinates, that level of precision, it should not be possible. Maya shrugged. Yeah, the math gets weird. We had to develop some new navigation algorithms after we figured out that the standard equations were like really conservative. Turns out if you're willing to accept a 3% chance of molecular dissociation, you can get way more precise with your jump points. A 3% chance of what? I asked slowly. Oh, you know, your atoms spreading across several light years of space. Instant death, very dramatic. No survivors, but 3% is pretty good odds. We used to accept 10% during the war. The room was very quiet. You're insane, Bryn whispered. Yeah, we get that a lot. Maya stretched her arms over her head. Want to go again? I promise to use a different strategy this time. They ran the simulation 6 more times. Maya won every single engagement, each time using a completely different tactical approach. She feinted with asteroid bombardments, she hacked their communication protocols and fed them false sensor data. She even convinced them their own defense station had been captured and turned it into a psychological warfare scenario. The last simulation, she simply flew straight at them. No tactics, no deception, just raw aggressive assault, and she still won because, as she explained afterward, sometimes the craziest thing you can do is exactly what they expect, because they'll assume you're too smart for that and prepare for something clever. By the time we left the simulation chamber, Bryn looked like he had aged 10 years. His team walked out in silence, their confidence thoroughly demolished. That was fun, Maya said as we headed back toward the command deck. Your people are really good at the fundamental, solid foundation. We just need to teach them to think more. I don't know. Flexibly. Recklessly, I corrected. Flexibly, she insisted. There's a difference. Reckless is charging in without an eco plan. What we do is calculated risk assessment with a higher tolerance for potential failure. That sounds like a very complicated way to say reckless. She laughed, a bright sound that echoed down the corridor. Several crew members turned to look. Humans had such expressive vocal ranges. It was disconcerting. We were halfway to the command deck when the emergency klaxon sounded. Commander Vrex, we have a situation. Quinn's voice crackled through my comm unit. Pirate fleet just emerged from hyperspace. Bearing 275 Mark 118, 15 ships, mixed classes. They're demanding we surrender our cargo. I felt my combat instincts. Engage battle stations. Prepare to repel boarders. I'm on my way. Maya was already running by the time we reached the command deck. The tactical display showed the situation clearly. The pirates had positioned themselves between us and the nearest hyperspace jump point, standard ambush formation. They outnumbered us roughly 2-1. But the Sovereign Dawn was a military vessel. We had superior firepower and shielding. This should not be a difficult engagement. Hail them, I ordered. Let's see what they want. The main view screen flickered and a face appeared, scarred with multiple cybernetic implants. The universal aesthetic of career criminals. This one was aggressive, a species known for aggressive territorial behavior and a complete disregard for interstellar law. Caloran vessel, the pirate captain growled, you will transfer all valuable cargo to our ships. You have 5 minutes to comply, or we will take it by force and sell your crew for spare parts. We are a military warship of the Caloran Imperial Fleet, I replied formally. We carry no cargo. Your demands are illogical. The pirate laughed, a wet, unpleasant sound. We know you have a human aboard. The Terran Federation is offering bounties for their safe return. 1 human is worth more than your entire ship. Hand her over. I felt my blood temperature drop. They were after Maya. That is not going to happen, I said flatly. Then you will die. All ships attack formation. The comm link severed. On the tactical display, the pirate fleet began moving into position. Commander, we can take them, Quinn said. Our shields will hold long enough for us to destroy half their fleet. The rest will flee. No, everyone turned to look at Maya. She had moved to one of the auxiliary tactical stations and was already interfacing with our systems through her wrist device. No, I repeated, Commander. With all respect, if you fight them, Straight up you'll win, but you'll take damage, and damage means repair time, which means delays, which means I don't get a finish teaching your tactical teams how to not get their butts kicked. She looked up from her display. Let me handle this. You want to fight 15 pirate ships by yourself, not fight scare. There's a difference. She grinned. Trust me, I should have said no. I should have followed standard military protocol and engaged the enemy with overwhelming force. I should have protected my ship and crew through proven tactical methods. Instead, I heard myself say, "What do you need? Access to your external communication array and your tractor beam emitters. Oh, and somebody needs to tell your weapons officer not to shoot when things get weird." How weird are we talking? Quinn asked nervously. On a scale of 1 to 10, maybe a 15. She was underrelling it. Maya worked quickly, her fingers dancing across the haptic interface. I watched over her shoulder as she wrote what appeared to be code, though it looked nothing like our standard tactical programming. It was messy, full of what seemed like random variables and functions that looped back on themselves. "Okay," she said after about 90 seconds. "This is either going to work perfectly, or we're all about to become very famous for very embarrassing reasons. Activate external speakers and prepare to broadcast on all frequencies." I nodded to our communications officer, who looked at me like I had lost my mind. "Fair assessment." Honestly, Maya cleared her throat and spoke into the comm system. Her voice was projected across all standard communication channels, which meant every ship in the immediate vicinity could hear her. "Attention, unidentified vessels. This is Lieutenant Maya Reeves of the Terran Federation Fleet. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from this area before I demonstrate why humans have a 98% survival rate in ship-to-ship combat." The pirate captain's face reappeared on our view screen. He was laughing. "One human," he sneered. "You think one human can stop my entire fleet? We have killed humans before. You die just like everyone else." Sure, we're super mortal," Maya agreed pleasantly. "But here's the thing, I'm not going to kill you. That would be quick. I'm going to do something much worse." She tapped her wrist device. Every single pirate ship suddenly stopped moving. Their engines went silent, their weapons powered down, even their running lights flickered and died. "What did you do?" the pirate captain shouted. "What did you do to my ships?" "Oh, just a little electromagnetic pulse customed designed to interact with Gressic power systems. Nothing permanent. Your ships are fine." Maya smiled sweetly. "Your life support systems, on the other hand, have about 40 minutes of reserve power. After that, well, vacuum is pretty unforgiving." The pirate's face went pale, which for a Gressic meant his skin turned a sickly green color. "You're bluffing," he said. But his voice shook. "Am I?" Maya pulled up a holographic display that showed real-time readings from each pirate vessel, life support levels dropping, oxygen recycling offline, temperature control failing. "Tell you what, let's make this interesting. Every 10 minutes you stay here, I'm going to shut down another system. Next up is waste management, then climate control, then, oh, this is fun, artificial gravity. Ever experience 0G while all your bodily functions continue to work? It's messy." I stared at her. She had just seized control of 15 hostile warships without firing a single shot. "How?" whispered. "Wireless protocol exploitation," she whispered back. "Humans Got really good at hacking after we spent like 200 years fighting each other. With increasingly sophisticated computer system, turns out most alien species use way less secure network architectures because they never had to deal with teenage hackers stealing military satellite data for fun. On the view screen, the pirate captain was having a heated discussion with someone off-screen, probably his crew, who were no doubt feeling the temperature starting to drop in their ships. We withdraw, he finally said, his voice tight with rage, but the Gressic Collective will remember this. You have made powerful enemies today, human. Yeah, get in line, Maya said cheerfully. I've got a waiting list. She tapped her device again, and the pirate ship systems came back online. They immediately activated their hyperspace drives and vanished, probably before she could change her mind. The command deck was silent for a long moment. Lieutenant Reeves, I said carefully, you just committed an act of cyber warfare against 15 vessels simultaneously while eating a peanut butter sandwich. I mean, I was hungry, she said. Multitasking is important. How did you penetrate their system so quickly? We have been unable to break Gressic encryption protocols for years. Oh, I didn't break their encryption. Maya pulled up her wrist device again. I just found their maintenance backdoor. See, every ship has emergency override codes for repair crews. They're usually something simple, easy to remember. In this case, it was literally just password 123. I tried it on a hunch. And boom, full system access. Quinn made a sound like air escaping from a ruptured seal. Their entire fleet security was compromised by a numerical password. Yep, happens more than you'd think. We had a whole war that got delayed by 3 months because someone used admin as their password for a planetary defense grid. I sat down in my command chair, suddenly feeling very old and very tired. Lieutenant Reeves, I said slowly, I need you to be completely honest with me. Is every human like you? She considered the question seriously. No, sir, some of us are way crazier. That night I lay in my quarters, staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything that had happened. Maya had revolutionized our tactical thinking, defeated our best strategic minds in simulated combat, and neutralized a pirate fleet without firing a single weapon, all before lunch, and she kept calling it a normal Tuesday. My comm unit beeped. I activated it to find Maya's face on the small screen. Hey, Commander, sorry to bother you. I know it's late, but I was thinking about tomorrow's training schedule, and I had this idea for a really fun exercise. Define fun, I said wearily. Well, I thought we could simulate a boarding action where the enemy has already taken the bridge and engineering. Your crew would have to retake the ship using only unconventional tactics and whatever they can improvise from the mess hall. Why the mess hall? Because kitchens are basically weapon factories if you're creative enough. Did you know you can make a flashbang grenade out of flour and compressed air? It's super effective. I closed my eyes. Lieutenant, please tell me you have not been experimenting with explosive cooking ingredients on my ship. Of course not, sir. I would never do that without proper supervision and safety equipment. She paused. I've been doing it in the cargo bay. Way more space. Maya. Kidding, totally kidding, probably. Anyway, think about the training exercise. It'll be educational. The comm link closed before I could Respond, I sent a message to Quinn, instructing him to quietly inventory all flower supplies and confiscate any compressed air canisters that seemed suspiciously positioned near cooking areas. Then I tried to sleep knowing that tomorrow would bring fresh chaos, creative violence, and very likely several new regulations we would need to add to the ship's safety manual. Humans. The galaxy was never going to be the same. The morning briefing started like any other military meeting, which should have been my first warning that it would not stay that way. Maya walked in, carrying a small metallic sphere about the size of her fist, which immediately made every officer in the room tense. After yesterday's pirate incident, we had all developed a healthy paranoia about anything the human brought into enclosed spaces. Relax, guys, it's just my breakfast, she said, noticing a collective anxiety. She twisted the sphere and it unfolded into a heating container that apparently warmed something called a breakfast burrito. The smell filled the conference room, a mixture of proteins and spices that made my scent receptors twitch. We need to discuss your unauthorized modifications to our tactical systems. I began trying to establish some semblance of authority. Oh, you mean the security upgrades? Maya took a bite of her food. Yeah, I figured. After that whole pirate hacking thing, you'd want me to patch the vulnerabilities in your network. I found like 47 backdoors in your system architecture. Most of them were manufacturer defaults that nobody ever changed. Senior engineer Talais, who had been responsible for our cybersecurity for 8 years, made a noise like a deflating balloon. 47, he croaked. Give or take, some of them might have been intentional surveillance nodes from your own intelligence division. Hard to tell the difference between sloppy security and deliberate espionage sometimes. She shrugged. Anyway, I locked them all down and reset your encryption protocols. You're welcome. You restructured our entire security framework in one night. Talais looked like he might cry. Do you have any idea how many systems are interconnected with those protocols? Yeah, about 12,462. If I counted right. Don't worry, I ran diagnostic checks on all of them. Everything's working fine, actually. Your sensor array is running about 18% more efficiently now because I optimized the data compression algorithms. I rubbed my temple ridges, feeling a pressure headache forming. Lieutenant, you cannot simply rewrite our ship's core systems without authorization. I mean, technically, I already did so. It's more of a past tense situation now. She finished her burrito and the container folded back into a sphere, but point taken, I'll file proper paperwork for future unauthorized system modifications. Quinn leaned over to me and whispered. Is she being sarcastic? I genuinely cannot tell. I have stopped trying to figure that out, I admitted. Briefing continued with Maya presenting her training proposal, which involved something she called adaptive combat scenarios. The basic premise was that my crew would face simulated threats that evolved in real time based on their responses, forcing them to abandon pre-planned tactics and improvise solutions. Traditional military training teaches you to execute a plan, Maya explained, pulling up holographic diagrams, but real combat is messy. Plans fall apart, communications fail. Your best strategist gets knocked unconscious by debris. You need people who can think on their feet, not just Follow protocols. Chaos training, Bryn muttered. He had been unusually quiet since yesterday's simulation disasters. Controlled chaos, Maya corrected. There's a method to it. We're not trying to create disorder. We're trying to teach flexibility, the ability to adapt when everything goes wrong. And in human military experience, how often does everything go wrong? I asked. Always, literally always. We have an entire saying about it. No plan survives contact with the enemy. Some dead guy said it a few hundred years ago, and it's still true. She looked around the table. Look, I get it. Your military tradition emphasizes discipline, structure, perfect execution. That's great for parade grounds and peacetime operations, but in actual combat, the side that adapts faster wins. Tail Eyes raised his hand hesitantly. Lieutenant, I have studied human military history. Your species has a remarkable record of snatching victory from seemingly hopeless situations, but you also have an equally remarkable record of getting into those hopeless situations in the first place. Maya laughed. Fair point. Yeah, we do have a bad habit of biting off more than we can chew, but we've gotten pretty good at the chewing part. She activated a new hologram, this one showing historical data from human conflicts. Battle after battle, where battles smaller forces defeated larger ones, where technical disadvantages were overcome through creative tactics, where certain defeat transformed into unlikely triumph. The Battle of Midway, we were outnumbered and outgunned, but we used intelligence gathering and timing to destroy 4 enemy carriers, Maya narrated, pointing at different engagements. The Winter War, tiny nation holds off massive invasion through guerrilla tactics and environmental exploitation. Operation Nimrod, hostage rescue that required precision, speed, and about 17 things going exactly right in sequence. And how many of these operations involved significant casualties? Bryn asked quietly. Maya's expression sobered. Most of them. We're not invincible. We lose people, a lot of people. That's part of why we developed these methods. Because when you're fighting opponents with more ships, better weapons, and numerical superiority, your only advantage is being unpredictable enough that they can't plan for you. The room fell silent. It was easy to be impressed by human tactical creativity. Less easy to remember it came from a species that had spent millennia fighting itself before turning that expertise toward the stars. Your training proposal is approved, I said finally, but we will implement it gradually. Start with volunteer units. Assess the results, then expand if it proves effective. Works for me. Maya deactivated the hologram. I'll need access to the auxiliary training decks, and probably someone who knows where you keep the emergency medical supplies. Just in case. Just in case of what? Quinn asked nervously. Oh, you know, sprains, minor concussions, the occasional dislocated joint, nothing serious. Humans call it learning the hard way. This was going to be a very long assignment. The training sessions began 3 days later with a volunteer unit of 30 crew members, all experienced combat veterans who thought they had seen everything. Maya divided them into 6 squads and explained the first exercise. Okay, so here's the scenario. Your ship has been boarded by hostile forces. Main power is offline. Communications are jammed. You have no weapons except what you can scavenge from your immediate environment. Your objective is to reach the armory on Deck 5 and secure weapons before the enemy does. What enemy? Asked Squad Leader Vaughn, a decorated soldier who had fought in the Outer Rim campaigns. Maya smiled. Meet. She was wearing what looked like a standard training vest covered in sensor nodes. On her wrist, her ever-present device glowed with active displays. You are one person, Vaughn said slowly. We are 30. Yep, math checks out. You've got numbers on your side. I've got experience fighting dirty and a really good understanding of this ship's layout. She tapped her wrist device. I've also got control of the training Deck's environmental systems, but I promise to use them responsibly. Mostly the lights will flicker. Occasionally, think of it as atmospheric. The squad leaders exchanged glances. They were clearly trying to determine if this was a joke. Lieutenant Reeves, I said through the comm system, from the observation deck where Quinn and I were monitoring. Please clarify the victory conditions. All right, if any squad reaches the armory and secures it, they win. If I tag out all 30 participants with these sensor markers, I win. Time limit is 45 minutes. She checked her device. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Go. The lights went out when emergency lighting kicked in 10 seconds later. Maya had vanished. Vaughn immediately organized his people using hand signals to communicate. Since the comm jamming was apparently real, the squads moved in coordinated formation, covering angles, checking corners exactly as their training dictated. The first squad made it approximately 40 m before the deck plating beneath them suddenly tilted 15 degrees. They stumbled, broke formation, and Maya dropped from an overhead maintenance hatch, tagged 4 of them with sensor strikes, and disappeared back into the ductwork before they could react. Did she just use the artificial gravity controls offensively? Quinn asked in disbelief. Apparently so, I said, watching the chaos unfold. The second squad tried different approach, splitting into pairs and taking separate routes. Smart tactical thinking. Maya countered by venting steam from the environmental pipes, creating a fog that turned the corridors into a maze. She picked off isolated pairs one by one, appearing from the mist like some kind of predatory ghost. Squad 3 decided to abandon stealth entirely and sprint for the armory. They almost made it. Then Maya triggered the fire suppression system, coating the floor in slippery foam. Half the squad went down in a tangle of limbs. She tagged them while they were trying to stand up. By the 20 and up mark, 18 of the 30 volunteers had been eliminated. The remaining 12 had grouped together, figuring safety in numbers. They moved as a tight unit, weapons ready, eyes scanning every possible attack vector. Maya hit them with the sprinkler system, darkness, and audio recording of weapons fire from multiple directions simultaneously. In the confusion, she tagged 6 more before they realized the weapons fire was fake. The final 6, led by Vaughn, finally adapted. They stopped moving. Predictably, they started using the environment against her, creating noise, distractions, setting up false trails. When Maya appeared to strike, they were ready, and for the first time they nearly caught her. Nearly. She used a magnetic grapple to swing up to the ceiling, landed on a cross beam, and dropped a training smoke grenade that she had apparently been carrying the whole time. Where she was carrying it, I had no idea. Those pockets again. Probably in the smoke. She tagged the Last 6 participants and reached the armory door with 11 minutes to spare. When the lights came back up, all 30 volunteers were sitting on the floor. Looking exhausted and bewildered, Maya was barely breathing hard, so notes for next time, she said cheerfully, "You guys did great with the fundamentals. Formation, discipline, corner clearing, tactical communication. All textbook, but you were predictable. Every decision followed logical military doctrine, which meant I always knew where you would go and what you would do. You had complete control of the environment." Vorn protested. "That is not a fair fight." "Nope, it's not. Welcome to asymmetric warfare. Your enemies will use every advantage they have: hacking, environmental manipulation, psychological tactics. If you only know how to fight fair fights, you'll lose to anyone willing to cheat." She walked over and offered him a hand up. "But you guys adapted toward the end. That last trap you set up almost got me. Do more of that over the next 2 weeks." Maya ran variations of the exercise. She taught them to use maintenance tools as weapons, to navigate by sound when sensors failed, to create improvised explosives from cleaning supplies. She showed them how to hack doors using power conduits, how to communicate through wall vibrations when comms were down, how to turn a standard medical kit into a tactical advantage. More importantly, she taught them to think like her, to look at every situation and ask not, "What does protocol dictate?" but "What would make my enemy's life most difficult right now?" The transformation was remarkable. By week 3, squads were coming up with solutions that horrified me from a safety standpoint, but impressed me from a tactical one. They started winning scenarios, not every time, but enough to show they were learning. Then came the incident with Cargo Bay 7. I received an emergency notification that the bay's interior pressure had dropped to dangerous levels. We had cargo in there, valuable equipment being transported to a frontier outpost. Pressure failure could damage everything. I rushed to the scene with Quinn and a damage control team, only to find Maya and squad leader Vaughn standing outside the bay doors looking extremely guilty. "What happened?" I demanded. "Okay, so funny story," Maya began, which in my experience meant the story would not be funny at all. We were practicing pressure suit operations, right, and Vaughn suggested we try a boarding scenario where the defenders deliberately vent atmosphere to disable attackers who are not suited up. That is actually a legitimate defensive tactic. Bourne added quickly, used successfully during the Kelter station siege. Right, totally legitimate, Maya continued. So we were going to simulate it using just the safety protocols, but then I might have accidentally triggered the actual emergency vent system. You might have, definitely did. Definitely accidentally triggered it. But she held up a finger. We caught the mistake within 8 seconds and repressurized before any real damage occurred, and we learned valuable lessons about double-checking which control panels are simulated versus real. I counted to 10 in my head, then I counted to 20. Lieutenant Reeves, you nearly destroyed 500,000 credits worth of equipment, but we didn't, because we responded quickly and effectively to an unexpected crisis. That's basically a training success if you think about it from a certain angle. What angle would that be? An optimistic one. Quinn was making that deflating balloon sound again. I assigned Maya to file a formal incident report, and restricted her access to environmental controls for 48 hours. She accepted the punishment gracefully and spent the next 2 days teaching hand-to-hand combat techniques that did not require any ship systems to nearly kill people. Despite the occasional disaster, the results were undeniable. My crew was thinking differently, moving differently, fighting differently. When we ran standard tactical simulations against other fleet vessels, we started winning by unexpected margins. Other commanders began requesting information about our training methods. The High Command took notice. Admiral Crane himself contacted me via secure channel, his image appearing on my ready room screen. He was old, even by Caloran standards, with battle scars crossing his face plates and a reputation for strategic brilliance tempered by extreme conservatism. Commander Vrex, I have been reviewing your recent tactical performance reports. Your fleet scores have improved by 43% in 6 weeks. This is unprecedented. Thank you, Admiral. Lieutenant Reeves has implemented several new training protocols that have proven highly effective. Yes, the human Crane's expression was unreadable. I have also reviewed incident reports from your vessel. Pressure failures, system intrusions, unauthorized protocol modifications. Your ship has logged more safety violations in the past month than in the previous 3 years combined. The training can be aggressive, sir, but the results speak for themselves. Do they? Or are we simply learning to embrace chaos and calling it progress? He leaned forward. Commander, I am not opposed to innovation, but there is a reason our military traditions have endured for centuries: discipline, order, predictability. These things create reliable outcomes. This human approach, this obsession with improvisation and controlled disorder, it worries me. With respect, Admiral, we are facing enemies who do not follow our traditions. Pirates, raiders, insurgent groups who fight without honor or structure. Against such opponents, traditional methods have limitations. Perhaps. Crane was silent for a moment. I am assigning your vessel to an operation. There is a situation developing in the Corvus sector. A mercenary company called the Iron Fangs has been attacking commercial shipping. They use hit and run tactics, never engage in direct combat, always vanish before our patrol fleets can respond. Conventional pursuit has failed. You want us to hunt them. I want to see if your new methods are as effective against a real threat as they are in simulations. The Iron Fangs number approximately 20 ships. You will take a small task force and end their operations. Use whatever tactics you deem appropriate. His eyes narrowed. This is a test, Commander, for you and for your human advisor. Do not disappoint me. Channel closed. I sat in silence for several minutes, processing the implications. This was not just a mission, it was an evaluation. The traditional command structure, testing whether human methods could translate from training deck to actual combat. I called Maya to my ready room and explained the situation. She listened without interrupting, her expression growing more focused as I detailed what we knew about the Iron Fangs, their patterns, their tactics, their leadership structure. So they are smart, she said when I finished. Hit and run, never commit to sustained engagement, always have an exit strategy. That is not mindless piracy. That is organized military action. Precisely, which is why conventional patrols have failed. By the time we respond to an attack, they are gone. We need to predict their next target and be waiting, or we make them think they have found a target too good to pass up. Maya pulled up her wrist device and started sketching tactical diagrams. What if we dangle bait, a cargo hauler? Apparently vulnerable, actually a trap. They would see through that. Mercenaries are paranoid by profession. Not if the trap is subtle enough, not if we make them work for the information. She looked up at me, and I recognized that expression now. It was the look she got when she was about to suggest something brilliant and terrifying. What if we leak intelligence suggesting that a high-value transport is moving through the sector, not obvious, not a broadcast, but buried in encrypted communications that look like they are not supposed to be intercepted? You want to let them hack our communications. I want them to think they have hacked our communications. We feed them false data through a back door that they discover themselves. People always trust information they steal more than information they are given. The elegance of it was disturbing, and when they attack the transport, we're already there, hidden, waiting. They commit to the assault, thinking they have the advantage, and we spring the real trap. She manipulated the hologram showing ship positions. We'll need to hide our signatures, probably use low power mode and drift like debris, uncomfortable but doable. When they are fully engaged with the transport, we light up and hit them from multiple angles. They will run. Let them. We don't need to destroy all 20 ships. We just need to hurt them badly enough that continuing operations becomes unprofitable. Mercenaries are practical. They won't stick around if the math stops working in their favor. We spent the next 6 hours refining the plan. Maya suggested modifications that made my strategic training scream in protest, using civilian vessels as active participants in military operations, hiding warships inside fake debris fields, creating false sensor echoes to make our task force appear larger than it actually was. This entire plan violates at least a dozen operational protocols, I said as we finalized the details. Yep, it's great, right? Maya grinned. Your admiral wanted to see if human methods work in real combat. Let's show him. We assembled a task force of 4 ships, including the Sovereign Dawn, plus a modified civilian transport volunteered by a cargo company that had lost 3 vessels to the Iron Fangs. The captain, a grizzled trader named Helix, jumped at the chance for revenge. Just promise me we actually get to shoot back this time, he said when we briefed him. I'm tired of running. You'll get your chance, Maya assured him. Just follow the script and don't break character until we give the signal. We set the trap in a shipping corridor. The Iron Fangs had hit twice before. The transport, apparently alone and struggling with engine problems, broadcast distress signals that any competent pirate would investigate. Meanwhile, my task force positioned ourselves in a nearby debris field, powered down to minimal signatures, effectively invisible. Then we waited. Waiting is the worst part of military operations. The anticipation, the uncertainty, the constant second-guessing of every strategic decision. Maya seemed unaffected, spending the time teaching a card game called poker to my bridge crew. Within an hour she had won approximately 3 weeks' worth of their pay. I suspected she was cheating, but Could not prove it. You seem very calm. For someone whose plan is about to be tested in actual combat, I observed. Panicking doesn't help, she said, shuffling the cards with practiced ease. Either the plan works or it doesn't. Worrying about it changes nothing. That seems like a very detached perspective. It's called compartmentalization. Humans are really good at it. We have to be, otherwise we'd never stop thinking about all the things that could go wrong. She dealt another hand. Besides, I've done this before, different enemies, different circumstances, but the same basic concept, asymmetric. Warfare is pretty consistent once you understand the principles. Have you ever been wrong? Has a plan ever failed? She looked up at me, and for a moment I saw something in her expression await a shadow. Yeah, she said quietly, lost 12 people. On Proxima Station, we thought we had the enemy's movements predicted, set up an ambush, but they changed tactics at the last second. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong assumptions. She set down the cards. That's why I'm so paranoid about contingency plans now. Always have a backup, always assume something will go wrong. Before I could respond, our sensor officer interrupted. Commander, we have contacts. Multiple ships emerging from hyperspace bearing directly for the transport. How many? I asked, moving to the tactical display. 17. Looks like the Iron Fangs brought almost their entire fleet. Maya whistled. Okay, that's actually a compliment. They really wanted this target, or they suspected a trap and came prepared to fight, Quinn said nervously. If they suspected a trap, they wouldn't have brought this many ships. They'd have sent scouts first. Maya pulled up the sensor data on her wrist device. No, they're confident. Look at their formation. That's an assault pattern, not a cautious approach. She was right. The Iron Fangs moved in aggressively, weapons charging, focusing entirely on the transport. They were broadcasting demands for surrender, threatening destruction if not complied with. Standard pirate intimidation. Captain Helix played his role perfectly, responding with panic transmissions, pleading for mercy, buying us time as the mercenaries close the distance. They're launching boarding craft. Our sensor officer reported. Wait for it, Maya said, watching the tactical display intently. The boarding craft crossed half the distance to the transport. The Iron Fang's main fleet had moved into optimal firing positions, completely committed to the assault. Now, Maya said, all ships, active power weapons free, engage. I ordered. The Sovereign Dawn roared to life. Our shields snapped online, weapons charged, engines burning as we erupted from the debris field. The 3 other warships in our task force did the same, and suddenly the Iron Fangs found themselves caught between the transport, which had just activated Military shields, and 4 fully armed Sea Thorn warships appearing from nowhere. The pirate communications channels exploded with confused shouting. Their formations broke as ships tried to turn, to run, to figure out what had just happened. We did not give them time to adapt. My weapons officer, trained by Maya's chaotic methods, did not follow standard targeting protocols. Instead of focusing fire on the largest threat, he went after the boarding craft first, destroying them before they could retreat. Then he targeted engines, not hulls, crippling ships rather than destroying them. Why are we not going for kill shots? Quinn asked. Because disabled ships can't run, and watching their friends get crippled is more demoralizing than watching them explode, Maya explained. Psychology matters. We want them to feel hunted. The Iron Fangs tried to fight back, but they were positioned for assault, not defense. Their heavy hitters were facing the wrong direction. Their screening ships were out of position, and their command structure had clearly not prepared for the scenario. We cut through them like they were training. Target: 6 ships disabled in the first 3 minutes. 4 more fled immediately, abandoning their companions. The remaining 7 tried to form a defensive perimeter, but Maya had anticipated that too. Transport Helix. Execute Maneuver 7, she called over the civilian transport, which the mercenaries had dismissed as a non-threat, suddenly accelerated and rammed straight through their formation. Its reinforced prow, normally used for pushing through debris fields, crashed into a frigate and sent it spinning. The defensive perimeter collapsed. That's my girl, Helix's voice crackled with savage joy. The remaining Iron Fangs broke and ran, jumping to hyperspace in whatever direction their navigation computers pointed. We let them go. 7 disabled ships were more than enough. Secure the disabled vessels. Prepare boarding parties. Transmit surrender terms. I ordered. My crew moved with efficient precision, executing MOP operations. Maya leaned back in her chair, looking satisfied. Not bad. We should do this more often. Please don't make a habit of turning military engagements into recreational activities, I said, but I could not keep the relief from my voice. The plan had worked. No casualties on our side. Decisive victory. Mission accomplished. The Iron Fangs captured crews were surprisingly cooperative once they realized they were dealing with a Caloran commander who had a human advisor. Apparently, rumors about human tactical unpredictability had spread through the mercenary networks. They surrendered without resistance, probably figuring capture was safer than whatever creative nightmare Maya might devise for non-compliant prisoners. We transferred them to a detention facility and sent a full report to Admiral Crane. His response came 12 hours later. I expected commendation, perhaps acknowledgement of the successful operation. Instead, I got 2 words: report immediately. I arrived at Fleet Command headquarters alone. Maya had offered to come, but I suspected the Admiral wanted to speak with me privately. The headquarters was an orbital station above our home world, a massive structure that housed the tactical brains of our entire military. Admiral Crane's office overlooked the planet below, a view designed to remind visitors of what they were sworn to protect. He stood at the window when I entered, hands clasped behind his back. Commander Vrex, your operation in the Corvus sector was successful. Thank you, sir. Unconventional, aggressive, and effective. He turned to face me. Also theatrical, psychologically manipulative, and dependent on the enemy. Behaving predictably while we behaved unpredictably. The plan accounted for multiple contingencies, Admiral. If the Iron Fangs had not committed fully to the assault, we had fallback positions. Did you, or did Lieutenant Reeves simply make you believe that? Because humans are very good at projecting confidence, even when operating on minimal information. I hesitated. Sir, I do not understand your concern. The mission succeeded with 0 casualties and achieved all objectives. This time, Crane moved to his desk and activated a holographic display. It showed fleet-wide training scores, tactical evaluations, incident reports. Do you know what I see here, Commander? I see an entire crew learning to think. Like humans, to embrace chaos, to trust. Improvisation over planning, to value. Creativity over discipline. Is that not the goal of cross-species? Military cooperation. To learn from each other, learning from, is not the same as becoming. He highlighted several data points. Your crew's adherence to standard protocols has dropped 41%. Unauthorized initiative has increased by 63%. They are making decisions that would have been unthinkable 6 months ago and winning engagements they would have lost 6 months ago. I countered perhaps they are simply getting lucky while taking increasingly reckless risks. Crane deactivated the display. Commander, I am not blind to the benefits of human tactical thinking, but I am concerned about the costs. We are a military that has endured for millennia because we value structure, hierarchy, predictability. If we abandon those principles in favor of human-style chaos, what are we becoming? A military that can defeat enemies who do not respect our traditions, I said firmly. Admiral, with respect, the galaxy is not fair. Our enemies do not fight honorably. Pirates hack our system. Insurgent use civilians as shields. Mercenaries employ psychological warfare. If we only know how to fight according to our traditions, we will lose to anyone willing to fight dirty. And if we embrace their methods, do we not become them? Crane asked quietly. The question hung in the air between us. No, sir, I said finally, because we choose when and how to use these methods. We do not abandon our values. We adapt our tactics. Lieutenant Reeves has not made us into humans. She has given us tools to survive against those who would destroy us. Crane studied me for a long moment. You believe in her methods? I believe in results, and I believe my crew is stronger, smarter, and more capable than they were before she arrived. Very well. He pulled up a new set of orders on his desk display. You are being assigned to the frontier sectors. Extended patrol, autonomous operations, minimal support. You will be the vanguard for implementing these human training methods across the fleet. Succeed and we expand the program. Fail and we return to traditional protocols. Understood, sir. And Commander, keep that human of yours on a short leash. She has remarkable talent, but she also has a remarkable ability to create problems where none existed before. I thought about the cargo bay incident, the flower experiment, the time she convinced 3 engineers that they could improve engine efficiency by introducing what she called controlled vibration harmonics, which actually just made everything shake violently. I will do my best, Admiral, he smiled. A rare expression. That is all any of us can do. Back aboard the Sovereign Dawn, I found Maya in the training deck, running yet another simulation with a volunteer squad. This one involved navigating a ship while all primary systems were failing simultaneously. It looked like absolute pandemonium. Lieutenant, a word, I called from the observation deck. She left the squad too. Their chaos and joined me, still wearing her training gear. How'd it go with the Admiral? She asked. We have new orders. Frontier Patrol, long-term assignment. Apparently, we are now the test case for human tactical integration across the fleet. That's either a huge vote of confidence, or they're sending us somewhere we can't cause problems if we screw up. Probably both, Maya laughed. Fair enough, so frontier sectors, that means pirates, smugglers, maybe some hostile alien encounters. Should be fun. Your definition of fun is deeply concerning. Yeah, I get that a lot. She looked out at the training deck where the squad was somehow managing to stabilize their simulated ship using what appeared to be cooking equipment and spare wiring. You? No, Commander. When I got assigned to this mission, I thought it would be boring, standard liaison work, cultural exchange, lots of formal dinners and diplomatic small talk, and instead I got to blow up pirate ships, teach your crew how to weaponize household items, and help revolutionize military training for an entire species. She grinned. This is way better. You enjoy this, the challenge, the chaos, the constant problem solving, of course. That's what humans do best. We find impossible situations and figure out how to survive them. Sometimes we even win. She turned to look at me. Your people are going to be amazing, Commander. You're already disciplined, organized, technically proficient. Add in some human-style flexibility and creative thinking. You'll be unstoppable. Or we will destroy ourselves through reckless experimentation. That's the spirit. Embrace the uncertainty. I shook my head, but I was smiling. You are a terrible influence, Lieutenant Reeves. Thank you, sir. I try. We stood there for a moment, watching the training exercise reach its chaotic conclusion. The squad had somehow succeeded, their simulated ship limping into safe harbor. Despite having no right to still be functional, they did it, I said. Surprised, of course they did. You taught them the rules. I taught them when to break them. Together we're creating something new. Maya stretched her arms over her head. So when do we ship out for this frontier assignment? 3 days. Use the time to finalize training protocols, and please try not to accidentally vent any more cargo bays. No promises, but I'll be more careful about which control panels I press. That is not as reassuring as you think it is. 3 days later, the Sovereign Dawn departed for the frontier sectors, carrying a crew that thought differently than they had before, led by a commander who had learned that sometimes the best plan was to have no plan at all, accompanied by a human who considered controlled chaos a form of art. Admiral Crane's question still echoed in my mind. What were we becoming? I did not have a complete answer yet, but as I watched Maya teach another squad her latest improvisation techniques, this time involving magnetic boots and creative applications of zero gravity, I realized something. We were becoming survivors in a galaxy that did not care about tradition or honor or military protocols. We were learning to be adaptable, unpredictable, and dangerous. To anyone who underestimated us, we were learning to fight like humans, and maybe, just maybe, that would be